Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing okay. If you're out there, can you let me know how the audio is coming in? RR, how you doing, my friend? Audio okay? All total coaching, how you doing? We're doing, at least here, we're doing fine. Um, yeah. So if you can you give me a heads up on the audio if it's coming in okay? Grow Mechanic, how you doing? James Richter, how you doing? Okay. Mark Burba, first time I've seen your name here. Welcome aboard. Thank you, RR. Appreciate that. So we'll be getting started soon. Quite a bit of things going on again. Polynesian Pip, aloha from Kona. Nice place. Haven't been there in a while, but I do enjoy Kona, Waimea. Got a lot of good friends over up in Hilo. Good, great, appreciate it. Okay, so we'll get this thing started in just a bit. Built for itself, right? Wash hands, absolutely. Okay, so we'll. Oh, a little bit of clipping going on. Sorry about that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira, and welcome you for being here. Thank you for taking time out to join us. We got a lot of things to talk about, and this is the live stream, so accidents will happen, mistakes will happen. I'm trying out a new system still, so definitely things are going to go wrong, but sometimes that's the fun of it, right? So appreciate you guys being here. Igor Sanchez, how you doing, my friend? Joey, how you doing? John Lee, hi from Thailand. How you doing, John? RR Joey, Crispy King, how you doing? Okay, yes, hit the like button. It's a sanitizer. There you go. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate the thumbs up. I'm watching it. I can see the thumbs up now with this new app. So it's pretty cool. I can see what's going on out there a little bit more. It's a bit blind to it. Before I couldn't see it, but now I can. So again, thanks for being here. I'm watching those thumbs up now, so I hope it keeps going up. Patricia David, how you doing? I think it's the first time I've seen your name here also. So welcome aboard, man. Glad you could make it. As we used to say, woman on deck. So all you guys be nice out there, okay? And Patricia, be nice to us also. Glad you could make it. All of you, glad you could make it. Weme, Anamaxa, Truth Teller, Rita R, how you doing? Hi from Kansas. Play-Doh by Camila. Shannon Lancaster. Great. Glad you all could be here. Really do appreciate it. So if it's your first time here or haven't already done so, subscribe. Please do subscribe. Click on the bell to be notified on updates and give us a thumbs up. If you like what we do, we really do appreciate that. And you can always find us on social media. Our website is silverbullion.com.sg. We are located in Singapore. Facebook, Silver Bullion SG. Twitter, at Silver Bullion PL for private limited. And you can find just the audio versions on bit.ly, bit.ly/SBTV, iTunes, SBTV, Spotify. And if you have the Telegram app, do join us on Crisis Tracker. It's pretty much just a group where we'll go and we'll post some news items, roughly two or three a day, and we try to keep up and keep people up to speed with what's going on as far as gold, silver, finance, economics, things like that. Um, Anna, Max, appreciate that. Let me put this out. Appreciate that, Anna Maxa. Thank you. Really do appreciate that. Um, Hopefully, we can add some value to your day or to your evening, wherever you may be at. Um, so we'll go down a bit. Joey, question from Joey. That one, best to email the guys. Hang on, I'll put it out there. It's best to email the guys on this, just to be sure that you get the right info on that. So just go ahead and email them. Um, Okay, so anyway, we'll go ahead and really get a bit more started. Upcoming guests, we're gonna have Luke Groman, we're gonna have David Stockman, we're gonna have Michael Pinto, and we're gonna have Lynette Zhang. So I think that one should be interesting because Lynette, she's very knowledgeable. She hears a lot, and she can she really does a very good job at putting the dots together. So I appreciate getting in touch with her, and she'll be coming on. Anna Maxa, yes, it helps people realize super chat is there, but it's a good thing. It's nice, but it's we do appreciate it. We do appreciate it, and but this is more about you guys, and it's also more about people who are on the fence, because that's where I really need your help with guys who are on the fence. They're undecided because, as I always say, they're going to listen to you a lot more than they listen to me, and it depends on what you guys say, what you guys feel that helps to persuade them one way or the other. And there are a lot of people on the fence right now, but our guest coming up is going to be Luke Groman. Luke is the founder of FFTT LLC, or Forest for the Trees, a macro thematic research firm catering to institutions and individuals that aggregate a wide variety of macroeconomic, thematic, and sector trends in an unconventional manner to identify investable, developing economic bottlenecks for his customers, as they have found that excess investment returns tend to accrue to economic bottlenecks over time. And I have a feeling you're not going to want to miss this interview. So again, subscribe and click on the bell so you're notified when this interview comes up. So again, looking at our nice, yeah, actually it is a pretty good lineup. Appreciate that. Vegas Stacker, yeah, we hope it's going to be a good a good show. Magic Man, good question. Is the silver situation, big premiums, gonna improve? I think there is some silver starting to come back onto the market, and I think for the most part, dealers are being fair. We've been reducing premiums as best as we can, as supply starts to ease up and get a little bit better, but it is still somewhat tight, somewhat tight still. So, I can tell you this much: I don't think there are well, I can only speak for ourselves. We're being as fair as we can, and we're trying to hold things or costs down for you as best as we can and as fairly as we can. But we do look at other dealers, and I tell you what, it's this is coming from my opinion personally. It's a shame. I look at some of these other dealers, and it's really a shame what they're doing out there. You really got to shop around, and again, probably one of the better things you can do is use your common sense. And what I mean by that is, if you have, let's say, a 2017 coin, and you have a 2020 coin, and for some reason they're both bullion coins now, whether it be a silver eagle, a gold maple, whatever it is, but for some reason that 2017 coin is jacked up way higher in price. Those are the things you got to watch out for, because it's just straight up bullion. There's no real collectible value in it. And if you're a bullion dealer, or you see some bullion dealers that like to push those premiums up for coins that are older, um, really dig deep into them, and really see why do they do that. Because chances are these older coins, they're buybacks, meaning they bought it from someone off the street. And if anything, those coins should have been lower. For 9 out of 10 times, these coins should be down in price, not up. So, especially on older coins, again, just have a good look at that, and have a good think at that, and then always question, why are some prices this way or that way? Because for me anyway, older coins should not really be having higher prices. It's just straight up bullion. It's not anything collectible. So anyway, that's a pretty good question. Silver should be. I'm hoping it comes back. Physical silver anyway. The supply comes back. It should. It may be a little bit slow, but it should be coming back, and so that's should be coming back. All right, I got my first thumbs down. I guess it may be one of these bullion dealers that I'm talking about, right? So thank you very much. Glad you're watching. Anyway, let's see. Abe Froman looking to pick up 1,000 ounces plain bullion. Abe, if it's in your wheelhouse, yeah, go for it. 1,000 ounce bars, LBMA bars. Uh, I tell you what, those have some pretty low premiums right now, and it's pretty much the closest you're going to get to spot. So it's a good idea. If you can get it, go ahead and get it. But you might need some place to store that, and we do store. So contact us if you need to. Okay. Anyway, hey, second thumbs down. Oh, first thumb. Okay. Anyway, I'm watching the thumbs down too. Also, so again, appreciate the thumbs up. That's something that we do look forward to all the time. So take a look at the website silverbullion.com.sg. Just want to take a look at the gold price real quick, gold and silver price, and see where it's headed. U.S. dollar terms. Let me make sure I have it in USD. Um, yeah, gold 1705, so it's holding. Silver 1562. Not too bad. I think it's gone up a bit. Yeah, I think it's gone up a bit, so that's pretty good as well. In fact, it's very good. And then again, this here, the investor kit. If you haven't already done so, come to our website, silverbullion.com.sg. Download this investor kit. It's free. It's absolutely free, and there's a lot of good info in there. And if you are thinking of perhaps storing overseas, talk to us because there are a lot of benefits to do that. So I do hope you will click on this sign up page. Signing up is free. I promise you, it's painless. We don't bombard you with all kind of spam mail, things like that. And to maintain your account is free as well. So there's really nothing to lose here by signing up for an account and go ahead and asking us the questions that you might have. Looking at the gold silver ratio, we're back under 110, which is good. Silver is very undervalued again to gold right now. I think most of us know this. Uh, takes about 109 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. Historically, that silver to gold ratio is about 16 to 1. And right now, I think miners are still saying it's coming out of the ground at 8 or 9 to 1. So it's still a very good time to buy silver. And of these two metals, both have somewhat been in the news lately. We came across this article from Market. Hang on, guys. Sorry, I'm just trying to get some things in. This article, Market Watch, where the stock market may get cut in half, but this most undervalued asset is about to surge, says a billionaire investor. True. Silver is ridiculously undervalued. Getting to this article, Paul Singer, the hedge fund billionaire behind Elliott Management, warned last month that the ultimate path of global stock markets is a drop of at least 50% from February highs. What's an investor to do in the face of such a grim outlook? Load up on gold, perhaps. After all, according to a report this week from the Financial Times, that's what the smart money is doing. And we've been telling you guys, we've been seeing serious money coming in. Average person is buying easily over $30,000 worth of gold or silver a shot. So smart money or big money, serious money has been coming into the market. Gold advised Singer is one of the most undervalued assets available. So he's even calling gold undervalued. And it's worth multiples of its currency price due to the fanatical debasement of money by all the world's central banks. So it's not just the Fed, this is all the world's central banks. His fund gained about 2%, the Financial Times reported, thanks primarily to profits from its gold position. And it's also silver. And I think this is also from Financial Times, where investors are making big bets on silver, closing the gap with gold. And I guess we kind of saw that just a bit with the gold silver ratio. So taking a look at this article, investors are betting on a rally in silver, excuse me, after the gap between gold and the industrial metal soared to its widest level in more than 3 centuries. In March, the price of an ounce of gold was 125 times higher than the same amount of silver, a record going back to at least 1687, according to data compiled by Ross Norman, a veteran gold trader. But since then, the gap has closed to about 13 times, and we just saw it at 109. And analysts say more gains for silver are possible as economies start to recover from the shock of coronavirus related lockdowns and demands returns for use of the metal in electronics and solar panels. And this is what we were talking about. This is what we were talking about because when we saw that consumption go down and silver being more of an industrial metal, we saw silver price just come down. It's pretty stagnant. It just wasn't moving the same way gold was moving. But as factories, industries start to open up again, silver consumption starts again, and as hopefully consumers start buying again, or retail investors even start buying silver again, you're going to really start to see silver move as what this article was saying. So, if anything, silver is looking pretty darn good right now, and a lot of it's going to depend on that supply coming back, into the market. Okay, so let's continue on. We'll take a look at Twitter. Twitter feed. There's a lot of interesting there interesting things there, and sometimes there's some pretty crazy stuff there as well. But go ahead and we'll take a look at Twitter. This is coming from the Twitter feed. It can be a bit choppy sometimes, so apologize for that ahead of time. Adam Jacob, how you doing from Sydney? Okay. Michael Cole Sinclair said yesterday on Hunters. I haven't watched that yet. I need to. Gold 3,500 next move. I am not clear. Okay, we'll take a look at that, Michael. But getting to Twitter, some things I bookmarked here. Chris Martinson, peak prosperity. Oops. Coronavirus update. Darn, I said the word. Algos are going to get me. The bug update. At least 75 protesters tested positive for the bug after attending a large rally against the stay at home order in Wisconsin. Okay, I know a lot of you guys out there, the pandemic thing, this is, again, falls into that pandemic. Is it real? Is it not real? I tell you what, it could be both. I tend to think it's both, and I'll explain why later. The U.S. is recommending cats and dogs practice physical distancing too. The FDA is recommending pet owners practice social distancing. Okay, well, cats should be kept indoors during the coronavirus pandemic, the FDA said, and pet owners should avoid other people's pets. Okay, this is where we're headed, right? Amazing. The real Kiyosaki, great news. Rumors, Fed may buy 1.5 trillion in student loan debt, and I believe that would be the whole thing, because student loan debt is somewhere around 1.5 trillion. So that may be the whole thing. Bad news. Taxpayers and unborn will pay. Why? Currency war. Fake dollars. Dollars too strong. Fed breaks laws needing to find ways to weaken fake dollars. Students win. We all lose. Desperate Fed, now criminal organization. I think with his tweet, I tell you what, I disagree. Before this whole everything started happening, I would say yes. Students got to pay that student loan. But the way things are going right now, government giving money everywhere, companies in trouble, companies going bankrupt, giving people, money, PPP, things like that. They've already opened up that Pandora's box. You got to go into student loans already at this point. So, Kiyosaki, I disagree with you on this. I mean, you can't leave them out already at this point. You've already given it to everyone else. So in principle, I disagree, but in reality, it's just where we're at. But again, idealistically, I do agree with it. David Stockman, who we're going to have coming up also, World Health Organization says COVID strikes Tanzania. A goat, papaya, and a pheasant all test positive. Okay, Stockman humor, only the way he can do it. But again, this is part of the problem. Pandemic. I think guys have just had enough of this. Some guys are still a bit paranoid. Other guys are really, this thing is just not making sense. U.S. unemployment rate will get worse, says Mnuchin. U.S. unemployment rate will get worse. Staggering U.S. unemployment rate reported by the government on Friday amid coronavirus lockdowns may get even worse. Well, we kind of know that because you can't. The economy is not just like a light switch. You can't just go back to work and expect the economy to come back to where it was. It's not going to happen that way. So of course the unemployment is going to get worse, and there's more reasons than just that. But I think you know average Joe understands that it's not going to get better. James Henry Anderson. It's not that I'm buying silver because I'm investing for the price to go up. I'm buying to protect me when the value of paper money goes down. James Henry Anderson, he gets it. That's what it is. It's more than just the price movement that we see from day to day. This is about when the dollar goes down. It's your insurance. So he totally gets it. David Stockman again. He likes to use this word lockdown nation. So he's saying or agreeing with Elon Musk. He says he never thought he would have agreed with him, but he's right. Lockdown nation's assault. It is an assault on the Constitution by power grabbing politicians, an economic calamity, and unnecessary to protect okay to protect the frail at risk. Stockman, for those who don't know him, he was a part of Ronald Reagan's cabinet. He was the youngest guy, I think, ever to be the manager of the budget department, and he knows. Okay, Stockman knows politicians. He knows governments, and he's going to give a very good insight on his views as to this virus. Peter Schiff, once these payments start, they'll never stop. And this is something we talked about as well. You put that punch bowl in front of Wall Street, you could never take it away. Now you got these payments going to people. Will you be able to take that punch bowl away and get people back to work? That's going to be very difficult to do. So will the payments, once they start, they'll never stop? Of course, they will have to up the size of monthly allotment as inflation will eventually render the payments practically worthless. That is true. We're already seeing people calling for 2,000, I think it's like 2,000 a month payments or whatever it is. We're already seeing people not taking jobs. They're deciding that they make more money by staying home and collecting the government doleouts, the government relief. That's their decision. The problem is when these jobs do come back, uh, they're not going to be as plentiful and they may not be the types you like. So if there's a job right now that you like, go ahead, and get it. And just a few more articles. Uh, Food in Geneva. There's even some food problems there. People lining up to get food. And contactless payments, faster, safer, more convenient. So here we go again with the narrative of let's not use cash, let's get rid of cash. Um, Again, something you got to watch, and we're going to talk a little bit about this as well. So anyway, I'm gonna get into a few of these things for sure. Um, that is for sure. Just want to get to some of your questions and comments here. Um, Banana Republic, Josh. Man, I tell you what, it's getting hard not to see that. Um, let's see. Quantitative disease going to need a class action lawsuit for responsible student loans or didn't go to college at all. Yeah, I tell you what, the student loan thing is really going to be a touchy issue because a lot of you guys out there, either you or your kids, you guys paid it off. You paid it off. Went to college, paid it off. Some others, they went to college, still trying to pay it off or haven't paid it off or didn't pay it off, can't get the job defined, but then yet the worst of the worst took the money and partied. And I think that's where, it doesn't sit well with a lot of people. Basically, just took the money and party. So, can totally understand where you guys are coming from. Let's see. Susan Klein. I hope we don't have digital currency for our next monetary system. Um, Suzanne, I tell you what, it's going there. You know, we've found numerous articles where central banks are creating their own central bank digital currency. It's going there. They're even creating their own wallets. It's going there. Uh, a concerning part about that is the cash. You know, when we got these digital currencies, what are they going to do with the cash? Are they going to take the cash out of our hands? And that's a big for me anyway. It's a big danger. You know, some people see it as, hey, this is convenient. Other people see cash as a little bit of freedom, anonymity, freedom, which is kind of ironic because that's what cryptocurrencies were supposed to bring in, freedom and anonymity. Anonymity. So I don't know. It's a bit ironic how this thing just kind of flipped upside down. It's a great question. Fed coin, truth or nothing. You know, that's what they seem to be calling it for now. Some type of a Fed coin that's going to be coming out, and they are working on it. And you know, we've even hear Christine Lagarde, she's been pushing it, you know, over at the European Central Bank, the former head of the IMF. So, you know, it's amazing what they're going to do to it. And, you know, other things too, like are they going to force us to turn in gold again? We'll touch on that because, you know, as I've said before, with all this money going out, it's got to be repaid some way. And I've been asking people about nationalization. Is the government going to have to nationalize things in order to use that as collateral to give to the Fed or offer the Fed in order for the Fed to go ahead and print up the money and give it to the Treasury, and then for the Treasury to disperse that money back out into the public or into corporate? So it's a big deal. It's a very big deal. Uh, One more from Suzanne Klein. My bank's ATM said not enough money for withdrawal today. From the start, you know, I've always felt, you know, you should have a good amount of cash on you. You know, if you can go ahead and take some out. And the reason for that is it's not because of a panic. It's because there's only so many physical dollars relative to digital dollars. If you look at the whole monetary supply, there's only so many physical dollars. The rest is all digital. Think of paper gold and physical gold, paper silver, physical silver. We all see what happens with the markets, right? They play with the paper. It affects the price of the physical. But there's really, and the numbers they give you, there's no way that it matches up with the physical. So we look at this and we translate it to our currency, our monetary supply. We only have so much true physical cash or physical dollars. And that's why I feel, in my opinion, it's good to have those dollars because if anything ever should go wrong, you know, you're going to want those physical dollars because that it's going to help you for a time. But I think most of us already know currency or our dollars has an expiration date on them as well. Fiat has an expiration date. So again, that's something also to keep in mind. But I'll get into the program part of this, and I think a lot of you guys have heard of this lady, Shelley Luther. I want to get into this because it's much more than what we think. So what caught my attention this past week was the case of Shelley Luther. And for those who do not know Shelley Luther, she was jailed for not adhering to bug laws and then later released. I think that's how the story went. But I want us to take a look at Shelley's case because it's more than what a lot of us think. This is just the surface. There's a lot more that runs deeper than it. So I'll play her court proceeding. This is from CBS.
A determination has been made that you are in contempt of this court.
As you can see, we are still open.
The salon owner openly defied the governor's order that salons remain closed, ripped up a cease and desist letter from the county, and ignored a temporary restraining order from the court.
If you would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge that your actions were selfish, putting your own interests ahead of those of the community in which you live.
Judge Eric Moyer offered to apply. He asked if she apologized, acknowledged she was wrong, and agreed to shut down her business until Friday. But Luther would not yield.
I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I'm not going to shut the salon.
The judge sentenced her to serve 7 days in jail.
Take this defendant into custody, if you please.
1 day behind bars for each day her business opened its doors, while so many others stayed shut.
Okay, so in a nutshell, Shelley was ordered to stay at home, and her family needs prompted her to go back to work, open up shop, or keep her shop open, and earn a living. Okay, earn a living, and as a result, she was jailed. However, what got me was the judge. Did you notice the way the judge talked to her? Very biased, threatening. You know, he seemed a bit threatening, and either do this or I'm going to do that. I don't know. I've never had to go to court, so I don't know what the experience is like if that's how a court normally operates. But I found that it's almost like from a movie, where you catch some guy and you want him to admit his guilt, and then you'll release him, but you want that guilt to go out in public so you can kind of persuade people what to do or what not to do. And that's the way I found that judge, extremely disturbing, um, extremely disturbing. But what we're going to be looking at today is how this pandemic is bringing changes. Everyone has an opinion on staying home or not staying home, and they have their reasons why. However, no matter what the opinion, we are living in a time where every government across the globe is looking to control, and that control is reaching into social media or even into your pocket. And this is why I wanted to take a look at that, because it is reaching into your pocket. Okay, so let me flip through this here. So let's get back to Shelley Luther. Does a county, state, or nation, depending on your nation, of course, have the right to tell you to stay home, to shut down your business? Now, I'm no legal expert, but almost every country does have some form of a constitution, and that basically is the supreme law of the land. With the U.S. anyway, and the European guys, people in Asia, bear with me because I'm also seeing you guys protesting in Germany as well against these lockdowns. So it's not just the U.S. thing now, right? But the first 10 amendments of the Constitution are known as the Bill of Rights, and they apply. They apply to every state. I'll show you here. So this is really a global thing right now. It's not just a U.S. thing. Okay, so this is the incorporation doctrine. So bear with me, okay? I'm going to get into more global things, but this is really the base of it right now. The incorporation doctrine is a constitutional doctrine through which the first 10 amendments of the United States Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, are made applicable to the states through the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. Okay, so let's go through this one more time. Incorporation doctrine is the constitutional doctrine through which the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, are made applicable to the states through the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. Now, before the 14th Amendment, the states didn't have to follow, but after that 14th Amendment, states have to follow the first 10 amendments known as the Bill of Rights. And then this is important because this leads into Section 242 of Title 18. This is important because it makes it a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. Are we getting that? It makes it a crime for a person acting under color of any law to willfully deprive a person of a right or privilege protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. For the purpose of Section 242, acts under color of law include acts not only done by the federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority. Let's take a look at this one more time. For the purpose of this section, Acts under this color of law include acts not only done by federal, state, or local officials within their lawful authority. This is your governor, this is your mayor, this is even your police officers. Okay, this is your elected officials. Okay, but also acts done beyond the bounds of that official's lawful authority. If the acts are done while the official is purporting or pretending to act in the performance of his or her official duties, persons acting under color of law within the meaning of the statute include police officers, prison guards, and other lawful enforcement officials, as well as judges, who we just saw, care providers in public health facilities, and others who are acting as public officials. It's not necessary that the crime be okay. We more or less get the gist of this, which is why perhaps we saw this come out from Attorney General Barr. Again, guys in Europe and Asia, hang with me because this is the foundation for where we're headed. Barr sent out this back in April when they saw what was going on with all of these lockdowns. So the current national crisis related to the bug has required the imposition of extraordinary restrictions on all of our daily lives. Millions of Americans across the nation have been ordered to stay, and it's not just the U.S., it's all over the world, leaving only for essential and necessary reasons, while countless businesses and other gathering places have been ordered to close their doors indefinitely. These kinds of restrictions have been necessary in order to stop the spread of the disease. So we'll go down, and I think probably the more important part is here, where many policies that would be unthinkable in regular times have become commonplace in recent weeks, and we do not want to unduly interfere with the important efforts of state and local officials to protect the public. But the Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis. We got this right? Constitution is not suspended in times of crisis. We must therefore be vigilant to ensure its protections are preserved at the same time that the public is protected. So it's kind of a dual thing here. I mean, people are getting sick. The virus is out there. True story, sad story. My wife's friends, their family basically, it almost got wiped out. Mother, father, her friend's mother and father, they got it, didn't make it, and then her friend and her husband got it. Her friend passed, her husband made it, and they have two kids. From what I understand, there's two kids. So these two kids are looking at their grandparents, and one of their parents wiped out. And you find a lot of stories like that where families get wiped out. So, I'm not going to minimize this thing. This virus, it is out there, okay? But it's really the hype. The hype that's going on is the part that I think is getting most, is what's getting to most of you. So what we have here is government overreach, and as we talked about last week, Fed overreach. Overreach where the Fed is going beyond their mandate, which takes us back to this pandemic, right? Whatever you choose to call it, fine by me, because the way I see it, it's both. Changes are coming, and as they do, we are going to see more overreach by the Fed and more reach into your pockets by, okay, something's going on here, right? Don't know what this is about. And I mean, you don't, more reach by the Fed and more reach into your pockets by government. And I mean, look, the money that they're giving us, it's not free, right? It's going to have to come back in some way, somehow. It's going to have to come back. It's not a gift from the Treasury, right? And knowing this, I want you to listen to something Alan Greenspan had said from years ago.
There's nothing to prevent the federal government from creating as much money as it wants and paying it to somebody. The question is, how do you set up a system which assures that real assets are created, which those benefits are employed to purchase? So it's not.
Okay, let me pause right there. What he's saying is the Fed can make as much money as they want or print as much money as they want. But the problem is when you have all this money, there has to be something for it to something. It has to do something. there has to be things for it to buy. And this is where we hear a lot of people saying, the Fed can't print up toilet paper, the Fed can't print food, things like that. And so this is what Greenspan's kind of talking about. But he said it years ago, and this was in the context of pensions. But anyway, we'll finish out what Greenspan had to say.
Of security. It's a question of the structure of a financial system which assures that the real resources are created for retirement as distinct from the cash. The cash itself is nice to have, but it's got to be in the context of the real resources being created at the time those benefits are paid, so that you can purchase real resources with the benefits, which of course are cash.
Okay, so Greenspan is saying the cash itself it's nice to have, right? I think everybody likes cash, but it has got to be in the context of the real resources being created at the time of the benefits when they're paid. And one of you guys hit it on the head where you had said, fake cash, real items or something like that. The cash can't just be there. It has to go after items, and this is a problem because the Fed cannot print things. They can't print, like I say, food. They can't print toilet paper. But so now that you've got your money, go out and get back to work. Spend it. That's what they want you to do with it. They need you to spend it. My other sister-in-law, she's over in Netherlands, and she was saying, if you can believe this, I think summer's around 3,000 euros. That's what they got. Pretty darn good stuff, right? And that's what's going to make it difficult for people to really go back to work. And this is where I talk about, are we going to be able to pull the punch bowl away? It's got nothing to do with a person's situation. It has everything to do with you need that people to come out. You need people to innovate. Government's not going to innovate. It's private sector that innovates, and this is why it's a bit troubling. But it's your duty to go out and spend that money now. Is what they're saying. It's what they're saying. But will people spend it or will they save it? Considering the dismal unemployment numbers, and we also found a clip from our one of our favorite guys, Neil Kashkari, and this is what he had to say.
President of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, he oversaw the Treasury Department's $700 billion bailout program during the Great Recession of 2008, the financial crisis. Mr. Kashkari, good morning. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Savannah.
Let's pick it up right there. We are expecting this monthly jobs report tomorrow. We've seen week after week the unemployment claims just break every record imaginable. Many people expect what we see tomorrow to be the worst report ever. What are you bracing for?
I think that's right, but that bad report tomorrow is actually going to understate how bad the damage has been, because that survey asked people, are you actively looking for work? And a lot of people who've just lost their jobs and we're all sheltering in place, they're not actively looking for work. So I think the number tomorrow will probably be something like 16 or 17%. I think the real number is probably around 23 or 24%. It's devastating.
It really is. I mean, it makes you think of the Great Depression. Those are numbers we saw during the Great Depression.
Now, I'm hopeful that we can bounce back, and I don't think, I'm optimistic, I don't think we're actually headed for another Great Depression, because part of the reason the Great Depression was as bad as it was that policymakers in the 1930s did the wrong thing. They did things that made it worse, and I think we've learned from that. And you're seeing bold action by Congress to support American workers. The Federal Reserve is acting very aggressively. We will continue to act aggressively. I think it's becoming clear that we're in for a long, gradual recovery, which is unfortunate. I wish we had a quick bounce back, but I think we're going to avert the kind of depression scenario because policymakers are going to continue to be aggressive to fight that outcome.
I don't know. Neil is sounding a bit overconfident, maybe a little bit arrogant there, right? It's that was them, this is us, we're smarter, we know better. Not so sure about that, Neil. From what I've seen, what you guys are doing, you could have thrown anybody to work for the Federal Reserve and they would have said to do this. So I don't see any I'm looking for the brain power where's all that brain power in the Fed? Right now, it looks like something any of us could have done. I got one more clip from Neil that I'll play. Just want to take a look at some of these comments again. Um, Again, yeah, I do appreciate your thumbs up. If you feel I need a thumbs down, let me know as well. I always looking to improve, right? Uh, let's see what some of you guys have been saying. A lot of you guys got a lot of comments out there. Um, Jeannie, okay, all right. So you guys are doing okay. A lot of feedback. Okay, so this is the other thing that Neil Kashkari had to say. It's about another minute and a half, couple minutes. So I'll just roll through this.
For you, is it if we don't have a vaccine and we don't have a miracle drug treatment that, solves 80-90% of cases, that we don't get that economic recovery until we have one or the other of those things?
It'll be gradual until we have one of those things. So I think we're seeing targeted reopening. I mean, I think some businesses lend themselves to safety. You can socially distance in some businesses. You can wear masks in some businesses. But take a movie theater. When are we all going to feel safe to go sit in a crowded movie theater with a couple hundred other strangers around us? It's hard for me to see that. I like to go to the movies. I doubt I'm going to go back to a movie theater until we actually have a vaccine or a therapy. So I think there's going to be a recovery, but I think it will be gradual on a business by business basis. And when you hear about restaurants saying, well, we're going to have every other table, that sounds promising, but I don't know how many restaurants can make ends meet if they are serving half as many customers. And so, unfortunately, the recovery looks like it's going to be slow.
And how much do you worry about what we're seeing right now? Because, the virus is obviously still with us. We actually see increasing in certain parts of the country. Yet we see all but a handful of states beginning those reopening measures. And I mean, obviously, the nightmare scenario is that you get a situation where you reopen too soon, you get more virus, and you have to pay this horrible economic price twice by shutting down again. How concerned are you about something like that?
I'm very concerned about that because, just as you said, the virus is still spreading throughout much of the country. And if we reopen too quickly or we are not smart about the businesses that reopen, it absolutely could flare back up again. We study pandemics from around the world and in history. And the flu pandemic of 1918, there was a wave in the spring. It went a little bit quieter over the summer. People thought they were through it. And then it came roaring back in the fall, and the real devastation was in the fall. And so we have to continue to be very measured and not reopen too quickly because we may pay the price for that.
Okay, so according to Neil Kashkari, he is saying that we're going to need a vaccine. We're going to need a vaccine for things to get back to normal. He's not the only guy saying this. We've been hearing it from a number of people as well. He is trying to say we should be on watch for a second wave because history tells us that's when more damage is done. And another economist who is saying that, more or less saying the same things, along with Kashkari, is Allianz Mohammed El Irian, who says it suggests that we're looking at a repeated W-shaped recovery. Repeated W, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. If it's just one W, it's down, up. But repeated W means we're going to be in this for a long time, and the markets are definitely going to be troubling. And he says in this article from Market Watch, this troubling chart might change your mind about lockdown restrictions. The chart caught the attention of Allianz Mohammed El Irian, who says it suggests we're looking at a repeated W-shaped recovery. Again, a W. It's not just down, up. Repeated W. It's that a few times. They are protesting in the streets of Orange County. They are bringing their guns to the state capitol in Michigan. They are taking it out on officials in Texas, just trying to do their jobs. Two sides to that coin. Patience is clearly running thin in some parts of the country as well as in the White House. Our country wants to reopen, President Trump told reporters on Tuesday before heading off to Arizona to tour a mask-making factory. And you see what's going on. They have to open. And the people of our country should think of themselves as warriors. Our country has to open. As the Washington Post points out, 7 states led by New York made up 60% of the coronavirus cases in the U.S. a month ago. Fortunately, thanks to lockdown measures, the numbers have dropped steadily over in those areas during that time frame. Not so in the other parts of the country. States that have already begun to scale back those measures have seen a rapid increase in daily case totals relative to 1 month ago, writes the Post. Well, writes the author again. That trend was in place prior to calls for states to begin efforts to return to normal activity. So here's one way to look at what's been happening. The chart caught the attention of Mohammed El-Erian, chief economist, and he's a darn good one, gotta say. Chief economist advisor at Allianz, who said it suggests we're looking at a repeated W-shaped stop-go process for the foreseeable future. Remember El-Erian, he also wrote, absent quick vaccine treatments, breakthroughs, the challenge is to live with the virus for now. And it's not just El-Erian or Mohammed El-Erian, it's also a name that you folks might know, Larry Fink, I believe it is. But anyway, let's get through this. For Market Watch, a wave of bankruptcy, surging taxes, and Americans harboring lasting scars from coronavirus lockdowns. It's not just it's the world. Ahead of the world's largest asset manager warns of grim outlook. The era of the bug has already been hard on the American psyche, the world's psyche. But the CEO of the world's largest asset manager cautions that everyone should brace for even rougher days ahead as the U.S. attempts to emerge from the worst public health crisis in more than a century. BlackRock, here we go. BlackRock, the guys that are doing the, I believe they're doing the special purpose vehicles for the Fed. Anyway, BlackRock's chief executive Larry Fink forecast a near-term outlook for the economy as a near-term outlook for the economy as states and businesses grapple with reopening, the bug lockdowns that have likely driven the U.S. and the rest of the world into a deep recession, according to a report. They reported that Fink, speaking privately with clients of a wealth advisory firm, outlined an unattractive future in which the economy continues to weaken, bankruptcy soar, and American consumers, the lifeblood of the economic vitality in America, remain psychologically scarred from the impact of the bug that has infected number of people. So anyway, we get the idea, right? So it seems more and more, along with mainstream media, we are having economists, financial guys saying we are going to have to get a vaccine in order to get back to some sort of normalcy as we knew it. This is a bit of overreach. Do we need one? It's a bit of overreach, and do we even need one? Can they force it on us? Some might say it's for the greater good, and there's some validity to that. You know, I mean, we're a community. We're humans. We're social. Greater community. Sometimes, individual ideals may not be the best for the community in general. So I get that. And others say if we give up our right to self, it will open up Pandora's box for other things to follow. And I'll show you what I mean in just a bit. But first, I want to take a look at some of these comments again. And let's see what's out there. Okay, I just want to take a look at some of these comments. You guys got some very strong opinions on this, and we're going to get into other reasons why you probably should have a strong opinion on this. I think this is something that you need to take a hard look at, take a very hard look at. So anyway, okay, you guys are doing okay with the comments. So anyway, as I was saying here, I want you guys to take a look at this, because these things are what's coming up right now. These are called immunity passports, and they are in the news right now, or they are starting to circulate. Jim, your opinion is good. It's good by me. It's personal health choices, exactly. They are important. It's trying to weigh a personal health thing with community. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. It really is. I don't think there's any right or wrong in it. But I agree with your opinion. It's a good opinion what you have. I can't disagree with it. Anyway, nonetheless, governments may see immunity passports as a way of reopening societies, but they're a plunge towards totalitarianism. This is coming from RT, and this is a pretty amazing article. The idea of immunity passports is gaining popularity among Western governments, but they are fraught with problems from their implementation to their functionality. Above all, they're a grave threat to fundamental freedoms. Ordinary passports may not be much good to many of us for a while, with little possibility of foreign travel. But what if you need a passport to leave your house and go about your daily life in a world dominated by the bug? Immunity passports are increasingly being talked about as a possible path out of lockdown. But what exactly would this path entail? Trace, erase. The basic premise of an immunity passport is to hasten the reopening of society by allowing those who are immune to the bug to move freely, leaving only those who are not immune subject to restrictions. The passport itself might be a paper certificate such as those in Chile, Chile has been issuing, although in Europe and America, it would more likely appear on your smartphone as an app, a code, or as digital certification. This is amazing where this thing is heading to. The rich are shelling out up to $6 million for pandemic passports to flee some bug aftershocks while everyone else is left to suffer. Um, there's a little bit of truth in that. Well, there is truth in that. This has been the solution adopted in China. All Chinese people have had to register for a QR code that downloads an app. The app uses a traffic light system that sorts people into red, yellow, or green groups based on their health status and the bug risk level. Although how this is determined, it's not so transparent. Users have to input a range of personal information, including the purpose of their visit to new locations. To stop them circumventing the app, they need to use its QR code to enter certain public buildings and transport. Other East Asian nations, including Taiwan, Singapore, South Korea, have adopted similar systems. It's doubtful whether this level of surveillance could happen soon in the West, mainly because our governments are incapable of this scale of organization. Outsourcing surveillance to a private corporation, however, might solve that problem. The British government has been consulting technology company on which specializes in facial biometrics about immunity passports, which it says may be possible in just months. In just months. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about this? I know you're definitely going to have some strong opinions. Uh, Safety or freedom? And it's not just a U.S. thing. Like I say, I've been seeing other countries, they're protesting all of these lockdowns as well. Safety or freedom? That's what it comes down to. And if there is a W recovery in that up and down, or down and up, down and up, down and up, do you think we may hear something along the lines of, well, we tried, we tried to open up the lockdown and, try to get people back to work, let them gradually do what they were doing, but virus came back, and one of the common denominators for the virus coming back was cash. We must remove cash from our monetary system. I think you guys may even get to that point. Could be, right? It very well could be. Taking a look at this. So one of those could be cash. And I know this sounds a bit crazy, but what's sane anymore? We've all become snitches in this pandemic. I mean, let's face it. I know you guys out there, hey, he's not wearing a mask or whatever it is. I know you guys out there, that process enters your mind. And we've all sort of become snitches in a way, right? We have become snitches and are giving away some liberties, some freedoms, sometimes even common sense in the name of peace and safety for the greater common good. Now, again, greater common good, it is important. Okay, I'm not trying to downplay that. It is important, but it's also the individual that makes up the greater common good. So where do you balance this thing out? That's I guess that's the question. And I understand that, and even agree with this concept for greater good. Although in seeing various sides, let me ask you rather, or maybe you should ask yourself, when does doing something for the greater common good infringe or become disagreeable to you personally? Because at some point it may actually be so. And we've already entered a state where we believe, and at times mistakenly believe, government knows best, and some of us will trust them, and some of us won't. That's just that's just the fact. Some of us are going to trust them, and some of us won't. And in there, we know best mode. Sorry about that. This different system for me. Let's just say cash is removed from the monetary system, and we've been hearing the narrative starting to come out. Early on, the WHO was saying cash may transmit. We saw how China was saying they're washing their currency. It's there. Okay, so this is not something just conjured up. It's these things are real. Like I said, the WHO even said cash may be transmitting the disease. So we all know, let's say cash is removed from the monetary system. We all know if cash is removed, or it's going to come to that point, and let's say the Fed is already or goes negative, which is being talked about. Cashless or negative rates is the way. It's the key. It's the way for the Fed to implement monetary policy. When you're cashless, they're going to be able to throttle rates, which in simple terms means they're going to direct you to spend, they're going to direct you to save according to however they see fit for the economy. And that's one of the problems with cashless. And as mentioned, all these loans the Fed is giving to the Treasury, they're going to need to be paid back. The Fed cannot give the Treasury money unless there's collateral. And that might be, what are some forms of the collateral? It might be, as we talked about, nationalizing resources, nationalizing some industries, or how about digging deep into seniors' pockets, because we know that's where a lot of all these unfunded liabilities are at. It's with your pensions, your social security, things like that. So how about digging deep into seniors' pockets, benefits and pensions? Any government would surely want to get their hands on those or cut them, right? We know it's a big burden on government right now. And so it brought to this article here, there are ways that governments can dig deep into your pocket. So as soon as this loads, 8 ways the government can cut into your social security benefit. And European, Asian, think of it as your retirement funds, whatever they may be, your pension. So again, it's not just a U.S. thing, because all central banks, I don't know what to say, they lost their minds already at this point. But whether it's your monthly benefit or lifetime payout, the federal government has options if it wants to reduce your social security's expenditures. So I'll just skip through this real quick. They can raise the retirement age. That's one thing they can do. And I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen in other countries. They'll raise the retirement age. So you'll be paying more into the system, living less to take out of the system. Link benefits to longevity. Another approach that's very similar to the idea of raising full retirement age is to progressively link benefits to longevity. What it means, rather than simply picking a number out of thin air and saying that by 2040 the full retirement age will be 69, let's say, lawmakers would index the full retirement age to U.S. life expectancy so that it changes each year to reflect increasing or decreasing longevity. Advantage here is that the method would eliminate the possibility of the life expectancy outrunning the increase in full retirement age, meaning as, let's say, healthcare systems get better, you live longer, that retirement age is going to go up according to, let's say, the average age of how long a person lives. Switch the inflationary tether to the chained CPI. A sneaky way the government could choose to reduce Social Security benefits is by switching the tether that measures inflation and therefore determines the annual cost of living adjustment. Some of you guys know this as COLA. Since COLA was introduced in the mid 1970s, it had the same inflationary measure, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, or CPI-W. Neither the Democrats nor Republicans particularly care for this inflationary measure since it reflects the spending habits of working age urban and clerical workers and not of seniors who comprise the majority of Social Security benefits. Another way, freeze the purchasing power of benefits to some or all other beneficiaries. So a fourth way, okay, we just kind of touched on that. In that approach, rather than continue giving eligible beneficiaries an annual raise, the COLA, that's commensurate with the inflation measured by the CPI-W, Congress would simply vote not to pass along an annual COLA. If no raises were given, then benefits would remain frozen from one year to the next, thereby losing purchasing power to the rising price of goods and services. Means test benefits. One idea or another idea is means benefits. It's simply a way of saying that benefits will begin to phase out or be eliminated completely over a certain annual income level. So again, depends what you make. If you're making a bit more, they're going to give you less. Fully or partially privatize the program. Sixth way government could reduce SS benefits is by partially or fully privatizing the program. This is the solution that the former President Bush pushed for in the mid-2000s and that President Trump and President Pence once supported. The idea behind this is a portion of your individual retirement benefits would be placed into a retirement account and they could invest as they see fit. This account may have limited investment options similar to a 401k that offers mutual funds, or it could have a wide gamut of options with few restrictions. Okay, another one, use Social Security as a future loan program. Could reduce payouts in the future, which is the cornerstone of a recently introduced Republican plan. This was introduced by Marco Rubio, would allow parents the option of using future Social Security benefits to take extended leave following the birth of a child, and therefore this would take the burden of paying for leave off of employers as well as provide new source of income for parents. In return, parents using this loan would be required to wait longer to receive their retired worker benefits when they hit their claiming age. Flat out cut benefits. That's the other one. Just flat out cut benefits. And it doesn't stop there. There are other things that they're looking at because unfunded liabilities such as these pensions, they are really what is, I tell you, these are probably the bigger debts that are just unfunded and the money is simply not there. 4 ways the government is set to take your money. And we're talking about this because it flows into, again, the pandemic overreach right now, because there does seem to be overreach. And it does funnel into Fed overreach, government overreach. So again, these are why we're talking about things right now. Persons traveling with more than $10,000 worth of currency or monetary instruments must declare their holdings to Customs and Border Protection under penalty of perjury. I think we all kind of knew this, and this article is dated back in 2014. Okay, so 2014. It's a little bit back, but still pertinent. That's exactly what it says in powder blue ink on the card that airline flight attendants hand to you. Once upon a time when we flew before landing at international airports across the U.S. So imagine this. It's 3 p.m. Newark. Hang on, can't see it. That thing is in the way. American woman is returning from a trip to Switzerland. She was visiting Zurich on business with a little bit of tourism on the side. This business traveler tourist returnee is a good person from all circumstances, I guess. She's married, 3 children, has a job, paid taxes, no criminal record, not even a traffic ticket. She's the nice lady next door. But now this nice lady is about to commit a long string of felony crimes, all because she wants to protect her privacy and wealth from the watchful eye of Big Brother. Goes like this. Reason for your visit to Switzerland. She says business. She did some tourism, and I guess that's what you should be saying. But anyway, nonetheless, it goes down to say, or further down, it goes on to say that she talks about gold and why the secrecy carrying gold bullion from Switzerland to the U.S. Something wrong with Swiss gold. Is Swiss chocolate next? So again, this is about moving physical gold around. Well, today it's gold, tomorrow maybe chocolate. Tomorrow, the story is entirely hypothetical. I'm not aware of anybody sneaking gold bullion past U.S. Customs, but the story is also the sign of the times. The thing is, this is going to start to happen more and more. We always hear reports about people so-called smuggling gold. Some do, but some, it's maybe just a gift or whatever it is, and they may be taking it home. But in other words, we're living in an ever increasingly capital controlled environment. You can't move money. This darn thing. You can't move money and other things of value without telling the government about it, if not several governments. Big brothers watching clearly, certainly over your money and other wealth and even health at this point where we are right now. So if a government that is in massive debt right now does not monetize or nationalize certain industries or find ways to reach into your pocket, they very well could simply resort to reaching into your home. And we're all too familiar with this story, right? And I'll get into that as well. Take a quick look again here at your comments. Jay, educational system taking over as well. That is true. I mean, a lot of times I think homeschooling actually seems to do better than legitimately better than sending kids to school. So that's a good point right there. What else is out there? Let's see. Jay, again, good point. Capital controls even stricter with digital currencies. I know there's some states, right, in the U.S. anyway, where you can't even sign up to a foreign account to get, digital currencies right now, cryptocurrencies right now. So, again, it's another great point. Another great point. Let's see. Quake addict, print dollars to infinity. Yeah, and it's a bit unfortunate because a lot of people, we have this deflation inflation argument going on. I tend to think it's inflation, and the reason I say that is because if you go back to Greenspan, what Greenspan said, Fed can print all the money they want. True, they can print all the money they want, but there has to be something for the money to latch on to. Products, items, goods, services. The money has to go somewhere. Can't just stay put. So if it stays put, that's probably where you're going to get the depression part. But the danger is the inflation part, where right now, let's say, if this money comes out, you start spending, and there's a limited number of goods and services out there to chase because a lot of jobs were lost, a lot of businesses consolidated, companies gone. We only have a few more choices now. We only have a few more items we can buy. So let's say there's only so much TVs that we can buy. But everybody has this money now that they want to spend. That's going to push the price of that television up. And if countries aren't producing and U.S. is not importing, or if U.S. is not manufacturing, or if your country is not importing, or if your country is not manufacturing, and you have all this money in people's hands, and there's only so much products within your country, that's going to start to push the price of things up. And that's where I get concerned looking at the inflation aspect of it. Because if these businesses don't come back online the ways they should, for instance, as Kashkari was saying, restaurants, if they only open up, when they open up, they only allow you to sit at half the tables that are in there. So if they had 40 tables, now there's only 20. Do you think your meal is going to be the same price? No. The price of your meal is going to get pushed up because in this case, it's the number of tables. There's only a certain number of tables. If more tables are opened up, 30 tables, 40 tables, then the price of your meal can go down because it's a bit more spread out. But if it's only 20 tables and that business has to profit, the price of your meal is going to go up. And that's a huge problem right now. This is why I'm looking more at more at inflation. I understand the deflation argument, but I'm looking at inflation in terms of if all this money keeps coming out, people keep getting money, businesses keep getting money, but if production is not there and we still only have that limited number of items to go after, if we're not importing, if not manufacturing, it's going to start to push prices up. And that's just only one aspect of how inflation can start to come into play. But the other thing, the government is reaching all over the place right now. Reaching to a point it may even reach into your home. And this is something that happened before, and you guys are all familiar with because this is something that absolutely happened again. And what we're talking about, I know you guys, you know this. If this thing will load, here we go. Government confiscation of gold. It happened before. Could it happen again? Some people say no. Some people say yes. Maybe they don't know, whatever it is. But, with a certainty, government is going to reach. That's for sure. Whether it's gold or not, couldn't tell you, but it's happened before. So our nation, the U.S., was founded with these sacred words. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But in 1933, all of that was shattered if by pursuing happiness you chose to pursue gold. Okay, hang on, I'm just getting some issues with the system, so I hope this thing is going okay right now. The foundations of the Great Confiscation, some people will call this an expropriation. Confiscation all dates back to the Trading with the Enemy Act in 1917. That year, President Wilson signed the TWEA, Trading with the Enemies Act, into law, forbidding American individuals and businesses from engaging in trade with the enemy nations. The world's functional gold standard, which had overseen tremendous global growth in the early years of the 20th century, was effectively halted by the outbreak of World War I, and the stage was thus set for the Great Depression and World War II. Shortly after taking office 16 years later, Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6102 into law, prohibiting the hoarding of gold. Wouldn't this be something if they did this with cryptocurrency and people hodling had to give it up? Strange. Anyway, under this executive order, Americans were prohibited from owning more than $100 worth of gold coins. You guys get it. You guys get it already at this point. And hang on, let me flip through his. Yeah, system's having a bit of trouble right now, but you folks get it. The overreach, it can be there. It will be there. It's going to come. It's going to happen. There's no doubt about that. And so hang on, let me get back to this. And this is why Shelley's root. Hang on, system. Okay, so this is why Shelley Luther's case, when this comes up again, not sure why it's a bit slow. Anyway, I'll get to that. Let me take a look at some of the comments. Hostur of Carcosa don't want to use Monopoly money, then don't play Monopoly. Good point. Okay, so anyway, this is why Shelley Luther's case is so important. Control it's coming, and controlling your wallet is the easiest way to control you. Control your wallet, control your mind, controlling your emotions. Guys, this is not a U.S. thing. It's not a European thing. This isn't everything. It's happening. It's happening all over. Okay, and I've said before, financial freedom needs to be redefined as not just perhaps being wealthy. Financial freedom means being able to have one foot and four toes, maybe, out of the monetary system we are in. That's financial freedom. And many guests on our show have told us, just as you would to diversify your assets, look into diversifying the location of your assets. And I'll remind you what Dave Drummond from Georgetown Trust, what he told us. And I think you will find this interesting. It's just a short clip.
Having, I believe, like many people, gold and silver are stores of wealth. They could also be an investment instrument, but if you don't look at them like an investment instrument, if you look at them as stores of wealth, you'll note that they hold them very well. And then where the stores of wealth typically been put, they've been put in areas where there's low risk or smaller risk of those countries being invaded and the gold being taken. So do I think it's wise? Yes, I think it's wise to have some gold and silver within hands reach, some gold and silver within cars reach, and then some gold and silver within no one's reach, right?
Okay, hands reach, cars reach, no one's reach, and he has good reasons for that. I'd invite you guys to go ahead and take a look at what he had to say. 'Cause he had some very good things to say, including your pensions, your 401ks, what you might want to be doing with them over at Georgetown Trust. So my question to you is: your country, the country you live in, is it headed to peace and stability, or does it look like it's headed into chaos? If it's chaos, you can expect things like capital controls, nationalization, higher taxation, things that we just talked about here, even perhaps some form of confiscation. If it looks like peace and stability, then that might outweigh everything else. And you might not have to go down the road that travels with many uncertainties. So, same as people say the have and have nots, you have places in the world where they're definitely more stable. They look to even be more stable. And there are places in the world, and I'll say it, such as Singapore. And there are places in the world where there looks to be some very, very hard times coming into play. And, for that reason, we have guys like Drummond, Dave Drummond from Georgetown Trust, who say, you should at least consider, talk to a professional about why you might want to consider having some in hands reach, having some gold and silver in hands reach, cars reach, and no one's reach. No one's reach meaning outside of your government's jurisdiction. Fear mongering, no. I'm not fear mongering, okay? I didn't create this bug. I'm not broadcasting things about this bug 24/7 to get this stuck in your mind. What is real out there is there is a virus. Okay, there is a virus, but we need time to assess it. Short term, long term. We need time to assess those consequences. But the thing is, we're never going to be able to do this unless we turn down the hype and be rational, not emotional. And this is the part where it's difficult to get away from mainstream news and whatnot. You need to be informed, but the hype, I think the hype is really something that we need to push aside and take a look for ourselves and see really what's going on. For me, I think the virus is real because, like I say, I've known people who've died from it. But then again, the hype, that's a different story. That is really truly a different story. And hang on, sorry about that. So the thing is, having some more difficulty here. So thing is, we got to understand that mixed in with this bug, we have freedoms, we have liberties on one hand. Let me put this in here. On one hand, freedoms, liberties. On the other hand, we have the greater common good. So we're trying to figure these things out. On one hand, we have this, and on one hand, we have that. Thing is, we have both hands up in the air trying to figure out this thing out while a financial pickpocketing is taking place. We're trying to figure it out. Both our hands are up in the air, and we're being pickpocketed right now. And we have to come together while this pickpocketing, this wealth transfer is happening. Your lineage and your financial freedom are at stake. Understanding this is why I know many of you out there have chosen to understand gold and silver, what they are and what they are meant to do. Because it is true. I mean, we have this hand up in the air. We have this hand up in the air. I don't know what's going on. I need to figure this thing out. And in the meantime, Fed and the government reaching in your pocket. They're taking a lot of things away. They're taking jobs away. They're taking perhaps what you earned before. They're taking that away, taking your future away with all this debt that's got to be paid. Maybe nationalizing things, maybe looking into pensions, maybe looking into taking whatever they can. So, it's you got to stop and look. And first thing you got to do is really the hype. Get away from the hype and clear your mind from that hype. And then reasonably understand, okay, I have responsibility to my family. I have responsibility to the community I live in. Somehow find that balance, and I get it. Some people will draw the line and they say my right is my right, but gotta ask at some point, does a right ever is a right ever wrong? At some point, in fairness, you gotta ask that question. For me, it's important to keep the rights intact, and mainly because that's your future generations. Your future generations they may need these things. They're gonna need these things. So that part is important. But I also understand we got to be responsible. So this is why a lot of us are divided, and this is why this whole pandemic, whatever you want to call it, or it's a very very dangerous thing because, as I said, it does divide us, and both sides are right. You want to be responsible, you want people to be healthy, you want them to be safe, and on the other hand, you want your rights. So it's something somehow that has really split a lot of the way people think and act and the way they would normally do things. And that could be even worse than the pandemic itself or the pandemic itself. It's just the way that we're split and we're pretty much all being divided now. But let me just take a look at some of your comments here. You guys have heard me speak enough. So let's see. RR. The greater good is achieved by our freedoms and liberties. There is no binary choice when it comes to God given rights. The community is only as strong as its citizens. Yeah, see, that's the part I agree with because the community is the citizen, it's the group of citizens. So, totally get it, totally understand that part. It's just that also, everybody's needs it's not the same. We have different needs and whatnot. But like I say, this is why it's tough. I mean, even for myself, I get torn between it because I do believe in rights. Those have to stay there for sure. Can't change, need to stay. But on the other hand, well, yeah, should I be responsible or no, this is my right, I'm doing it, or do I be, like I say, responsible? It's a tough call, and only an individual can make it. It's a very, very tough call. Okay, let's see what else out there. Let's see. Psycho Stacker. Thank you for this question. A little bit easier. If you had $6 billion, would you buy gold or silver? $1 billion. 6 billion. I might just disappear if I had 6 billion. No. Okay, good question. I would probably maybe one and a half billion, maybe two at most gold, the rest silver. Uh, I mean, I think you do have to have some gold. You do have to have some gold, but I believe more in silver. It's just because of things like that ratio, because of things of like what history says. You need it in industry. That's a fact. Whether it's health industry, whether it's the electronics industry, green technology, you need it. So for that point, I look at silver. And on the other hand, like I say, you look at what's coming out of the ground. If miners are telling you, 8 or 9 to 1, and you're seeing a ratio of 100 plus to 1, then yeah, silver. For me, it's definitely silver all the way. Let's see what else is out there. Yeah, that would be a lot of silver. I probably would get a phone call from the CFTC and end up being like the Hunt brothers. So probably, but yeah, let's see. Uh, PM Ruckus. It's my right to eat bats. You cannot tell me not to do that. You see, that's the thing. You know, I mean, if you can't, that's the thing. We certain parts of the world we may think something is not right or whatever it may be doesn't sit well with us. In other parts of the world, it's perfectly fine. You know, and the simple fact is the world is very different in different places, and there's no blanket blanket ideology for the whole world. At least not for us. But as far as what the powers that be have in mind, that's another that's another story. But I mean, that's the beauty of the world, right? I mean, we think differently, we may act differently, we dress differently. It's more colorful, more vibrant. We, like I said, we think differently. We'll see things from a different point of view. That's the beauty of the world, the diversity of the world. It's the world I'd personally like to get back to, instead of this world where we seem to be going after people for this or that or this or that. It's, I don't know. It's just not an ideal place. Somewhere we got to find our common sense here, and we got to think rationally. Not so emotionally. And this is why I say the hype. It's something we got to get away from. Definitely have to get away from the hype. Let's see what else is out here. A couple more comments, and then I'll head out. Held you guys for quite a while already. Let's see. Okay, can't do much if everyone's whacked up. Let me just run through this. If there's any other thing I'd like to comment on, I'll pull it up. If not, we'll be ending it. Let me see. Okay, the enslavement of Western civilization. Whichever way you look at it, no one will disagree. The government's totally abused the situation for negative purposes, and we all see it. A lot of governments, yeah, and that's why I wanted to talk on this a little bit about how the overreach, there's definitely overreach going on, and how much will we let them reach, and for what reasons is it allowable for them to reach? It's just a decision only each of you can make on your own individual decision. But again, for me, it's some things you can control, some things you can't. And the one thing I can control is what I see coming, and trying to get out of the financial system, monetary system, or understanding where it's going, and having something to hang on to your wealth. Be that store of wealth. And you guys know the story already. That's why I've gotten to gold and silver more specifically. And it's something out there for you guys on the fence. You got to be seeing what's happening with all this money printing going on. You have to see it. You have to see all of these things. Find a way to protect what you have. I mean, you want to make your money, but at the same time, find a way to protect what you've made. And that's really what this is about. So anyway, I guess I'll end it there. You guys seem to be doing pretty well. Again, look forward to Luke Groman coming up this week. I think we're going to have some good things to talk about, and then I think we're going to follow up with Stockman. I think we'll get him on after that. So you guys take care of yourself, right? Do what you need to do. Again, it's an individual thing. What is allowable to you and what's not allowable. So it's an individual thing. But as mentioned, you guys take care, and just saddle up for what's coming ahead, because a lot of things are definitely going to be coming ahead. So just saddle up and silver up as well. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.